South Korea has a rich culture, but some of their museums are far from being traditional. They even have a place called Poo Poo Land. You got me right. This museum is all about feces, human gases, and more. It's 3 floors of wacky and colorful exhibits that will make your Instagram followers go wild. The bravest ones can eat out of a fake toilet pot while in this museum. But the real fun begins when it's time to leave. You'll have to slide your way out through a dark room that mimics your digestive system. South Korea houses the blackest building you'll ever see. The Vanta Black Hyundai Pavilion is covered with Vanta Black paint, which is like the ninja of all paints. It's super black and reflects less than 1% of light. The pavilion was created for the crisp, white backdrop of the 2018 Winter Olympics. Standing at 33 feet tall and 115 feet long, this building sucks up over 99.96% of light, so it's as black as a black hole. South Korea is known for its awesome cafe culture, and their Starbucks outlets are no exception. Take Starbucks Wave Seoul, for example. It literally looks like it's floating on water. This cool spot is located in Seoul Wave Art Center, a place where you can enjoy art galleries and exhibitions. If you feel like you've seen this place before, it might be because K-pop stars have filmed music videos here. Back in 2011, Tesco, the British chain, set up virtual grocery stores in subway stations and bus stops in Seoul. It's like shopping in a real store, but on your phone. Commuters can scan and buy virtual items that will be delivered right to their door. Imagine walking into a subway station and seeing walls filled with pictures of food and other items you can buy. You can just scan special QR codes with your Home Plus app and boom, your groceries are on their way to your house. Order by 1 p.m. and you'll have your stuff that same day. You must have heard about the main star of Korean cuisine. I'm talking kimchi. The real question is, where's the element of surprise? This zesty, tangy, sweet, and sour dish has been around for over 1,500 years and comes in over 200 different varieties across the country. You'll never run out of new kimchi dishes to try. It can be served as a side dish, main dish, snack, appetizer, and if you're feeling daring, even a dessert. Ever heard of kimchi and banana? Yeah, that was actually a thing for a while. By the way, they say kimchi might be perfectly matched with cheese. Actually, kimchi can be matched with pretty much anything. They even produced kimchi-flavored chocolate in Korea. Seoul, the buzzing hub of South Korea, is jam-packed with around 10 million people. You'll find narrow alleyways and bustling streets at every turn, making personal space a rare commodity. If you're strolling through the city, expect to dodge pedestrians on the sidewalk, squeeze onto crowded subway trains, and feel a bit cramped compared to the wide-open spaces in the US. South Koreans are pros at sharing public areas, so don't be surprised if someone bumps into you without apologizing. It's just part of the hustle and bustle of city life, especially in busier areas. Just roll with the punches, literally, and enjoy the lively atmosphere of Seoul. In South Korea, taking off your shoes is kind of a big deal. Some locals might even get a little miffed if you make a fuss about it. Most traditional restaurants will require you to kick off your shoes before chowing down. Make sure to keep an eye out for a shoe shelf. It's also a good idea to wear easy-on, easy-off shoes like sandals. And please, for the love of all things holy, check your socks for holes. Nobody wants to see that. PDA is not really a thing in South Korea, even in hip cities like Seoul. You might catch a glimpse of couples holding hands while strolling the streets, but that's usually where the lovey-dovey stuff ends. Public displays of affection make South Koreans a bit uncomfortable. If you're a tourist, keep them at a minimum, even in party zones like Hongdae or Sinchon. Here's a tip for when you're dining out in South Korea. Don't wait around for the waitstaff to come to you. They won't. Instead, give a shout of "Yogiyo" to get their attention. Yep, it means over here in Korean. And if you happen to come across a self-service bar, don't be shy about picking up your own water and utensils. It's all about DIY in some places, so get ready to take matters into your own hands. South Koreans are not afraid to dive deep with their questions. I mean, people you barely know may ask about your personal life or how much dough you bring in. So if someone starts getting all up in your personal biz or you feel like they're crossing the line, just remember, they're probably just curious and looking to connect. Don't sweat it. They're not being rude, just eager to get the convo going. In the US, it's totally cool to ask chefs to switch up ingredients for allergies or preferences. But in South Korea, it's a different story. Traditional Korean dishes are cooked up with specific ingredients for hours, so don't expect them to just switch out meat for veggies. It's not that chefs are being difficult, it's just that they put a lot of effort into making that perfect dish. So when you're chowing down in South Korea, make sure you pick something that matches your dietary needs. In South Korea, toilets are seriously next-level cool. They've got cozy, heated seats. They actually play a little jam for you while you do your business, and they've got these handy wands that spray warm water to give you a nice, refreshing clean. Some of them even have built-in dryers that blow warm air to get you all nice and dry afterwards. Just like any other country, South Korea has some issues. They're facing a spy camera problem. It's still a big issue, despite tough laws. It seems like spy cameras are way too easy to get a hold of, with students even using them to film teachers and classmates. Efforts to regulate them haven't been very successful yet, but people are pushing for stricter rules and penalties. Ever been to Italy and witnessed the lively debates that turn out to be just friendly conversations with a side of dramatic arm gestures? Well, get ready for a similar revelation in Korea. Korean conversations are full of deep voices, power-packed expressions, and the occasional shock factor. That lady at the restaurant who seems like she's about to yell at you? Don't worry, she's just super excited to show you the menu. It may seem a bit overwhelming at first, but trust me, Koreans are some of the friendliest folks you'll ever meet. Soak in the melodic flow of their language and let yourself be swept away by the welcoming vibes of this vibrant culture. Still, even though the Korean language is expressive, when you hop on a bus or train in South Korea, don't be surprised if it's quieter than a library. Locals are all about their headphones, jamming out to their favorite tunes instead of chit-chatting. It's a stark contrast to the West, where everyone's gabbing away or catching up with loved ones on the phone. So if you're cruising through Seoul and feel the urge to crank up the volume and start a lively convo, think again. Being loud on public transit is a dead giveaway that you're not from around these parts. While no one will hush you outright, expect some disapproving glares and whispers from the elderly squad if you take it too far. Better keep it cool and blend in like a true South Korean, right?
Hey there, quick question. What is the capital of Japan? If you said Tokyo, then you got it right. Tokyo is one of the most modern and colorful cities in Japan. But for over 1,000 years, Kyoto occupied that place. Yeah, I know, the names are similar. But while Tokyo is the futuristic center of Japan, Kyoto is one of the most traditional and historical cities in Japan. It's known as Japan's cultural capital. Let's play a game of Spot the Difference. Here are two photos. The first one is from Tokyo, and the second one is from Kyoto. Can you tell what is the main difference between both? Hold that thought for one more second. Here are two more pictures. The first one is from Asakusa, a neighborhood in Tokyo, while the second one is from Kyoto. What would you say is the main difference here? Well, you can probably guess where I'm headed. If you didn't figure it out, I'll spell it out for you. The main difference is in the colors. If you've ever had a chance to travel around a bit, you probably noticed how cities have certain color themes. Like Rome is terracotta, and Paris varies in tones of gray and sepia. Looking at these images, one can see that Tokyo is bright, electric, and looks even a bit chaotic. And Kyoto is monochromatic and gives the impression of being calmer and more peaceful. It's fascinating to see that what causes this distinction between both cities has to do with a certain landscape law. You see, in 2007, Kyoto passed a new law prohibiting colorful street signs. The law also wanted to standardize overall constructions to make the city look more homogeneous. Since Kyoto was Japan's capital city for such an extended period of time, it was built using traditional feng shui architecture and principles. That's why so many of the buildings have that traditional Asian shape to them, the one with the curvy ceiling, like you see in the Mulan movie. Sure, this style is very far from what modern architects are doing today. If you take a look at Tokyo, you'd see glass skyscrapers rather than these old buildings. But that's all part of a bigger plan, set in motion by something called the Miyako Landscape Guidelines. The municipality's main argument to pass the law was that Kyoto was losing its unique landscape due to Japan's modernization. If Kyoto were to follow in Japan's footsteps and build humongous skyscrapers, citizens would lose their view of the three mountains that surround the city. And let's face it, nobody would want that to happen. Plus, it's nice that you can go to different cities in Japan and notice that they are unique in their own way. If the landscape law was to be effective in all of Japan, we wouldn't get to see architectural marvels such as the Tokyo Sky Tree and the Asahi Flame Building. Now take a look at the Akihabara district in Tokyo. It is known as one of Japan's most modern neighborhoods. It's filled with top-notch technology at every corner. And yes, it's also filled with signs everywhere. If we compare it with Kyoto after the passing of the new law, the first thing that would have to go are the rooftop signs. Oh, and flashing and moving lights are also illegal there now. This Kyoto Starbucks also illustrates what I'm talking about. If you were strolling along the bucolic streets of Kyoto's countryside, searching for a place to get a cappuccino, you'd miss this coffee shop completely. I think we can agree that the traditional Starbucks logo was made to call attention, with that crowned siren-like creature supported by a very green background. In other places in Japan, it still looks like this. But in Kyoto, the brand went above and beyond to respect the new guidelines and produced this beautiful wooden logo and a little plaque that says this building has lattes. Yes, indeed. There are multiple examples like this. In Kyoto, the 7-Eleven doesn't have its traditional red, orange, and green stripes. Its logo was changed to black and white. You can think that's dull, but I think we can agree to disagree. It looks perfect when you look at its surroundings. Oh, and what about McDonald's, the world's most famous burger franchise? It kept its yellow logo, but took the red out of the background. In terms of the color palette allowed, the law uses the Munsell color system to determine which chroma levels are acceptable. Usually, the faded version of strong colors like red, black, green, and so on are accepted. Now, imagine if they adopted a Wes Anderson palette. It would look like a Toy City, that's for sure. At first, vendors and shopkeepers felt disturbed by the new law. They didn't understand why they had to change their branding for the sake of some aesthetic the city was trying to preserve. But with time, they not only came to terms with the new law, but could already see the benefits of it for their brand success. You see, this helped turn Kyoto into an even bigger tourist attraction. Tourists felt like they were traveling in time, sort of. Some tourists even like to dress up in traditional kimonos and walk around like geishas. The municipality also began an award system to compensate the shops and brands that had done their homework well. Of course, the camouflage Starbucks won an award back in 2018, as did Sagawa, a major delivery company in Japan, back in 2012. It's not only shops that needed to adjust to the new guidelines. Things such as vending machines and post offices also needed to be toned down. Again, the idea is to make the city more visually coherent, and they sure help. Now, what happens if you don't follow the rules? Well, the people who chose to ignore the landscape law can spend up to 1 year in jail or pay a huge fine. We can also compare the differences inside Kyoto itself. Around the city center, the landscape law is less strict, so you'll find taller buildings and even bigger and more colorful signs. But as you leave the center and move towards smaller cities in the countryside, the law is much more strict. It's especially strict around the UNESCO heritage sites. In case you're not aware, there are 17 heritage sites in Kyoto. Yep, that's a lot. But that's what makes Kyoto so unique. Now, welcome to the neighborhood of Pontulcho. This neighborhood is a good example of how the landscape law changed the city's mood over the years. Pontulcho is a cute alleyway in Kyoto that spans over several blocks. If you look at this Google Street image from 2009 and this one from 2023, you'll see clear differences. For starters, the huge sign at the entrance of the alleyway is gone, and so are the wires hanging from the tops of the shops. The pavement was redone and the big store signs disappeared. It's much cleaner. At night, the alleyway turned into the perfect spot for atmospheric dining, since its legislation decided to rule over the type of lighting allowed in the neighborhood. This is what it looks like at nighttime. Hey, you fancy grabbing some sushi? I can't help thinking that this landscape law contributed a lot to Japan's minimalist architecture. Although images like these ones in Tokyo are far from the idea we have of this minimalist aesthetic, Kyoto falls right into place with it. How about we take a quick look inside one of these establishments? The Starbucks we mentioned earlier also invested in turning its interior design local. It's the first ever Starbucks where you can drink tea on a tatami floor. You can sit cross-legged, like many Japanese people do, and enjoy a delicious hot beverage. I must say I quite like the new Kyoto. How about you? So you're watching your favorite cooking show when suddenly the star chef adds a pinch of salt to some jam that's supposed to go into a dessert. You pick up the phone to call and complain, but right then the chef explains. It turns out that adding salt to fruit is a common thing in different cuisines across the world. Like in Mexico, they like to spice up mango and citrus fruits with salt and chili powder. You can try mango with a shrimp taste in the Philippines and salted watermelon in the southern states. So, how does it work? Well, let's say you're eating a raw mango sprinkled with salt. With the first bite, you notice the salty flavor, and the sweet fruity taste is then slightly delayed. It feels as juicy and amazing as ever. It's most likely because salt affects the sweet taste receptor for sugar, and then really magic happens on a molecular level. One study even found that we have more sugar detectors in our taste cells than scientists previously thought. One of those detectors must direct sugar to a sweet taste cell when it gets in contact with salt. You can try and put salt on any fruit you like, but the effect will be different. Salt can make sweeter fruits like cherries and strawberries even sweeter and balance the flavor of grapefruit, pineapple, and watermelon. Just take a ripe fruit and slice it the regular way and sprinkle the pieces with salt. Large, flaked sea salt might taste more intense, plus it looks more beautiful. After 10 minutes, your gourmet dessert will be ready. So, you need to chop up a heap of iceberg lettuce, but that tough core in the middle doesn't want to leave. Just hold the lettuce head in both hands with the core end down and slam it against a cutting board or some other solid surface, not your brother. Now you should be able to pull the core right out of the bottom and slice the rest of the lettuce without a problem. The next time you take butter out of the fridge and struggle to spread it because, it's hard as a rock, reach for your grater. With its help, you'll easily flake off tiny pieces of butter that will melt instantly on a warm toast. You can also spread them much easier on cold bread without putting your sandwich in the microwave or waiting for a while to soften the butter. Professional bakers approve of this tip and have been using it for a long time. When you're frying something, you first heat the pan and then put the food on it, right? Well, this logic won't work if you want to make your bacon crispy. On a hot pan, the meat will cook before the fat can melt out of it. Your bacon will be too fatty and rubbery. So you gotta lay the strips on a cold pan and then turn on medium-low heat. The fat will render out of the meat, and the final result will be super yummy and crispy. Have you ever tried boiling pasta in a frying pan? I know it sounds a bit weird, but it can actually help you save a lot of time, water, and energy. Instead of filling a huge pot with water and waiting for it to boil, put your pasta in a frying pan and cover it with cold water and add some salt to it. Your pasta will be cooking while the water is getting to the boiling point, so it'll be ready much faster than normal. And the water that's left in the pan will make an excellent base for a sauce because it's filled with starch. Mix it with pesto, tomato sauce, and garlic butter. It tastes like it's straight out of a gourmet restaurant. Now, the secret to cooking the most delicious and fluffy mashed potatoes is to dry them before you mash them. After boiling, you can either put them in a pot and leave them over low heat on the stovetop, or keep them in a baking sheet in a low oven. Then add melted butter that will coat the starch in the potatoes, and only then slowly add milk. Now your mashed potatoes will have the best possible structure and flavor. If you've shed enough tears over onions when trying to slice them, this one is a must-try for you. Peel the onions, cut them in half, and leave them in a fridge in a bowl of iced water for half an hour before you start cooking. The reason behind your tears is the sulfur that onions take from the soil while growing up. When you damage its cells, the acids contact the enzymes that start a whole bunch of reactions and release a chemical that makes your eyes water. Freezing the onion can weaken that chemical. To minimize it even more, only use a sharp knife to slice onions. This way, you'll do less damage to its cells. It's much easier to peel an avocado if you freeze it first. Just put it in the fridge as it is, give it some time, and then take it out and hold it under warm running water. Now you can peel it easily after you make a couple of crisscross incisions. The best way to keep herbs fresh and juicy is to store them like flowers. If you don't have the right size vase or vase, take a mason jar or a water glass and fill it with an inch of water. Now put the herbs inside as you would do to your roses. For parsley and cilantro, cover the jar with a plastic bag and store the bouquet in the fridge. Basil loves sunlight, so you better leave it uncovered on the counter. If you've made too much sauce or have some leftovers in a can that doesn't seem to be enough for anything, you can save it from the trash can. Pour the sauce into an ice cube tray and keep it in the freezer. Now, if you need to spice up a meal, you can always add a couple of sauce cubes to it. Plus, as a bonus, which is redundant, the sauce will last longer this way than it would in the fridge. Do your meatballs always turn out to be perfectly the same shape and size? Then skip this one. But if you're like me, just use an ice cream scoop to get the right amount of your minced meat mix. Try saying that 5 times. The balls will be the ideal shape and your fingers won't get sticky. The easiest and probably the most beautiful way to slice a mango is to turn it into a hedgehog. Wash the mango under running water. Don't squeeze it while doing it. Now put it straight up on a cutting board and cut it into 3 pieces from the top downwards. Just leave that flat pit in the middle piece. There isn't much you can do with it anyway. Now your mango will have 2 cute cheeks. I mean, its fattest parts. Next, make crosswise and lengthwise cut in the mango cheeks. Leave some even distance between the incisions and don't go all the way through the skin. Now press on the back side of the mango until the flesh pokes out. Does it look like something to you? Yep, a hedgehog. Hence the name of this slicing method. The final step will be to slice off the mango cubes into a bowl. Then eat. Now this one has all the potential to become your new breakfast favorite. You can cook an omelet in a mug. Take a large microwave-safe mug and coat the inside of it with olive oil or spray it with cooking spray. Add 2 eggs and 1 tablespoon of milk and mix them with a fork. Now add salt and pepper and any cheese, veggies, and herbs you like. Put it in the microwave on high for 30 seconds. Take it out, stir it with a fork, and then put it back for another 30 seconds. And voila! Your breakfast is served. Oh, be sure to use another mug for your coffee. Otherwise, you get eggs in your coffee, and nobody has a recipe for that.